Wait, mute YouTube.
Looks like we are up, and the first comment is Ricky Chalk Talk. We should probably, because we're going to get replay views, just go one way or the other, either the bottom and work our way up. That way, so if people are watching, they'll know, like, okay, I could probably zoom forward if I want to get to a specific driver. If we can kind of stick to that.
I like going from the bottom of the grid forward.
Of course you do. I've watched your Xfinity videos.
I love
it,
doing
though. I love that you know these BJ bums more than anyone.
So let's start with Ricky here. I think Ricky's a decent play. I don't think he'll be chalk because he's not difficult to get to. But if you're chasing multiple dominators, which I think you should in this race.
I can't believe you said Dominator.
I can't believe I did it. It's so I only woke up 20 minutes ago. I'm not even sane yet. If you're chasing multiple lap leaders, it's difficult to get to the 7K range because I assume you're going to want to be chasing one of either Elliott or Truex, probably both Hamlin and Blaney. You're going to throw Larson in there. You're going to throw Reddick in there. You're going to throw Kyle Busch in there. And so depending on however your lineup ends up, Stenhouse ends up being a rather difficult place to get to at its price.
I got to run the optimizer real quick. I messed around with it and forgot to fix something just to test that and see, like, all right, is it really that hard to get him? Because if that's the case and the people aren't going to be playing him, then I'm kind of interested. But if people are going to play a driver that is notorious for, wrecking, then let me fix this. Why is that not working the way that I want? There we go. That can't be right.
So, okay,
what's up with AJ's? Okay, there it is. I got to fix that. Sorry. There's a couple things I need to fix on the sheet.
Yeah, that is a high. I see what you're looking at. But AJ Allmendinger, I think, is going to be the more popular play there.
I need to go through and adjust some of these real quick, but I do want to run the opposite. I like what we've seen. If we just step back and talk about skill-wise, I like what we've seen from Stenhouse. I like the car. Pit crew leaves a little bit to desired. Restarts haven't been that great. The reason that he got involved in several incidents last fall, but the big thing that killed him was running on the apron. That was the old tire, which I guess you would say probably more squishy. They didn't really go down on the apron much and run the dog leg at all. And I don't think you can with this sidewall. If you do, I think you're going to blow a tire. That doesn't mean they're not going to do it. It doesn't mean he won't do it. There's a lot of questions. How safe? I know I'm supposed to be talking about Stenhouse, and I think he's fine. If his ownership is going to be high, then I'm fine fading him because he can wreck. But how safe do you think they played it in practice yesterday? They didn't run in the resin. They didn't run on the dog leg. Some people ran fast laps. Hamlin went out there and cruised like we've seen him do. We didn't see a lot of spinning out, which tells me I don't know if they were really pushing close to the edge. We saw spins in testing. We've seen spins everywhere else. We didn't see spins yesterday other than the one guy who did push it and said he pushed it, which was Logano in qualifying, and he spun out. If they were taking it easy, then we should see a wreck fest. If they weren't taking it easy, then this could be a really calm green flag race. Where do you see it?
Yeah, I went into practice expecting spins and just seeing really Logano be the only guy. Like, obviously some guys got loose, but I was entirely shocked. And I think that is the case of nobody's pushing it. I mean, you mentioned it first, but nobody was really using the dog leg. And I think that's a real concern. Not only do the damage, I mean, I know the Xfinity cars are a completely different thing, but even the booth was talking Xfinity's being like, hey, this dog leg is more like hazardous now with these cars than they ever been for Xfinity. Everybody was grilling Kaz Gralla when he went down, and you could already see the side skirts on his car completely getting bent out of shape when he went down there in the Xfinity series. And in the Cup series, we didn't really see anybody do anything down there. And I think a lot of people were sandbagging in practice. I really do think that's the case. And also, I do want to bring up how this qualifying works is it's leaving out people who should be starting top 5.
Yep.
I I like it for fantasy because it allows people like Larson and Logano and Kyle Busch to miss out. But like if this was like traditional stuff where you didn't have to go lap after lap and round after round and just take the top 5 guys and run them again, people who finish 6th in a group who shouldn't realistically be starting 6th or 7th are being pushed back to starting outside the top 10. And so I think that makes a lot of guys in play. I know that we're going from a Stenhouse talk to a dogleg talk, but that's something else that just popped in my mind of guys starting farther back than they should have, because I don't think they were pushing in practice. I don't think they were pushing in qualifying. The qualifying now pushes people farther back to where they should start anyway. So that's where I'm at. I still believe we're going to see guys probably spin out more in the race, just because you're going to be forced to go faster. You're going to be forced to try and enter on the dog leg at some point, and I'm very curious to see what happens to the first car that throws it down there under green and see what it does in the car.
Yeah, I think that we just didn't see anything that we really needed to see. I know that there's all these practice times that we can look at and we can see that certain drivers were good, but I just don't know how much you can trust it, whether they were sandbagging or not. Let's just pretend that they weren't. We know they didn't run the resin. So great. Like Kevin Harvick is a perfect example. And he did kind of exactly what he did the week before, which doesn't have any high-end speed, which again leads me to believe that he's not going out there and pushing it either. He's not trying to lay a hot lap. He's not going anywhere close to the edge, which is a concern to me. I don't want Kevin Harvick laying up. Mm-hmm. And it seems like Kevin Harvick is playing it safe constantly. And they keep, he's got good long-run speed. Get it. But how much more speed could he have? And if you put Kevin Harvick up against a driver who is pushing it, like a Tyler Reddick, which we know which way that can go, I'd rather have Tyler Reddick, who is going to go near the edge and win in fantasy and win races. Kevin Harvick hasn't been good enough to not go towards the edge and not go. I mean, even during his best, you're competing against the best stock car drivers with the best teams. You have to go to the edge. And that's why we're seeing Larson pretty much owning the sport at the moment. Yeah. Because he will go to the limit every single week and he can save it, unlike these other guys. He lives out of control and he has no problem doing it. He's going to constantly be on top of the board. Alex Bowman, I think, is another guy who pushes it and is able to find that edge. And that's why he was up towards the top 5 the entire time. And you're seeing the other guys that aren't comfortable doing that staying in 10th for the rest of the race. 15th. Joey Logano is a guy that can push it. And you're going to see both ends of that. I think Blaney is another guy who pushes the limit. But even if they weren't sandbagging, they didn't run the resin, they didn't run the dog leg. They will run the dog leg. They will run the resin. And I just don't know how much you can trust anything that we have. I mean, there's tons of data, but part of me just says, I don't know. I think I just need to go with my gut and think who is going to survive this race and stick with my original instincts that there's going to be plenty of wrecks. So Stenhouse, I think he's fine. My instincts say play him if you want to play the ownership game and stay away, because I think he's going to be highly owned. The optimizer put him in. And people can't help themselves with place differential. They can't. And he's not expensive enough.
Yeah, what about the guys at least in mine? It was wanting to go AJ over Stenhouse. Not by a lot, but that.
Do you worry about that car? 2 mechanical failures in a row.
No.
On the West Coast, did they get all the gremlins out?
No, I don't worry about, and even if they are running into issues, they've been recovering pretty decently in this car.
Now, those were wreck fests at intermediate tracks. If they have a mechanical issue at Phoenix, they're done. They're going to lose way too many laps. I mean, I can't believe they got 6 laps back at Fontana. 6 laps at Fontana is that's long. How do they? I mean, it's pretty amazing. I don't know. It's a concern. They've had mechanical issues the last 2 weeks with colleagues, and then they said this multiple times in the broadcast yesterday. I don't know if it was Chris Rice or colleagues said I'm focusing mainly on the Xfinity series. Well, that seems pretty obvious. I don't know if you guys really should have 2 cars, but they do. And I don't know. I would rather take Stenhouse personally.
I think I'm going to use
from yesterday.
I'm going to try and do a few lineups with both of them. And the reason I say that is because, yet again, I want to get as many lap leaders, above 85, because I'm going to have a lot of Reddick again. But I think BJ McLeod is in play.
Go ahead. You have the floor. Explain this to me.
I think they're viable. They're live. I have no issue with punting down to 46 to build the lines that I want. Look at where these guys are finishing this year. Pretty much all top 30 finishes.
He got top 30 in the last 2 Phoenix races as well. God. How slow were they in practice? But again, that doesn't matter. I would rather than be slow in practice. I don't want them to hustle the car. I want him to just survive if there is wrecks. If it's a green flag race,
it's not even that. Am I asking myself how many people get wrecked out in this race? Let's say 7. That is not a crazy number with how this race can play out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Bubba Wallace probably gonna wreck out. Briscoe probably gonna wreck out. One of those cheapies. Yeah, man, that's actually really. Can he leapfrog over Gilliland or Ware or Castle? No doubt in my mind.
And this is not because Gilliland is straight chalk. That's what everybody's saying is Gilliland is going to be chalk. You and I was looking at your lineups last week. You played Gilliland. I played Gilliland. I think last week was the time to play Gilliland because it was a different build. Nobody was talking about him. I don't trust Gilliland to perform that well, and I think he gets trapped lap down. And so even if Gilliland is having a good day, I think he gets trapped like running 27th all day. Whereas I want the discount and I want the top 30 upside that McLeod brings me, and I like the lineups that I'm coming with. Like I'm honestly considering just starting with BJ and getting all my lap leaders that I want.
I think Gilliland has a little bit more upside. We have seen these front row motorsports cars. John Hunter Nemechek's had decent races. I think Alfredo wrecked in both of these last year, if I remember correctly. We know McDowell can get on the other side of the top 20. Gilliland's been really safe. He's been, we're talking about not really sandbagging it, but he's just going out there and getting reps. We'll never be able to trust him. He was never someone you could trust in the truck series. But maybe that's good news. Maybe, he's a better driver than Alfredo. Do you agree?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he brings a little bit more to the table. I think he's going to be a little bit safer. I like them both. Most people are going to play Gilliland over BJ McLeod. And Gilliland was probably chalk before he qualified where he qualified. He's cheap, top 25s in both races. He was in the Phoenix test session, so he's got those laps under his belt. I think he knows where the limit is. He knows what he's capable of. What about double punting with both? Think that's going to be a popular move?
I don't think so. I'm not. I haven't seen any of those lines together because I am running. I ran last night with Smithley, McLeod, and Gilliland, like trying to force them in, and I didn't really see any double punt plays there that were close enough for me to feel comfortable playing that.
I'm gonna try to juice it up and see if I can get this thing to force it in. You really need 2 giant, 3, right? You have to be 3 big time expensive lap leaders for that, which I don't doubt happening because they also can get place differential where they are. If we're expecting wrecks, so if wrecks happen, then that boosts those guys up. If wrecks happen, we're going to see probably multiple lap leaders. I think that's probably where I'm 3 guys. I think someone already asked like how many people are going to be hogs. I say 3 at least. And if you go to that double punt, if you go to the double punt, you really can cover your bases. You can get 4 guys that can have massive days. And if one of them doesn't hit, you're probably still good with the 3 strategy-wise. What do you think about that format?
I like that idea a lot. The issue, at least with me, is I plan on playing a lot of Reddick. And
risky.
If he's he just has to show up and do his normal thing. If he wrecks, because he's done it before, he ran fast laps and hit the wall and destroyed his car, that's fine, whatever. He has to do so little to get there. I like Reddick. I like
the talent's there.
Say that again.
The talent is there. The car is there. Will he keep it clean? Well, we can always say that about Reddick, and we can always say that about all these guys, especially in this race environment. So I like the Reddick play, especially if people are scared of him and talking him down. I'm seeing some social media chatter trying to say Reddick's bad.
Who is talking? He's been the best car this entire season. Yeah, look, what
But he wrecked. They've all wrecked. They're
off
not
the trailer, fastest at LA. I didn't want to say anything, but the correlation is there. Fastest at LA, fastest at Auto Club, one of the fastest cars at Las Vegas, just stuck starting the back, having to go through the field multiple times.
Yep.
Reddick is showing the speed, and until they increase his price, I'm going to keep playing Reddick.
Another thing I like about Reddick is if you're not watching the races and really going back and going over them, and you're just looking at the spreadsheet, then yeah, Reddick looks bad. And I think most people are just looking at the spreadsheets. They're just looking at the results and say, oh, well, Reddick's bad at Phoenix. Reddick hasn't been that good this year. Yeah, but anybody that's actually watched these races is impressed. I mean, he finished 7th last week after driving through the field twice. And I'm sure that when he went through the infield, he sustained some sort of damage, and that didn't seem to slow him down whatsoever. As long as he doesn't completely back into the wall, these cars have been pretty durable. Now, that it's going to really be tested today, especially if they're working the apron. As you've discussed before, the mechanical issues with these cars, like the internals are not that sturdy. They break a lot. And if there was going to be a week where they're going to break some stuff, this is going to be the week. Whether it's the tire or any of the other parts inside the car going onto that dog leg, it's going to snap some shit.
Yeah. Or, I mean, not even that, but just like turn 2 is going to be so loose for a lot of people. We saw that constantly yesterday in the Xfinity series. You guys just
can't set up there. Here. You can't. You have they're two different worlds. You have long flat bank turn, and then you have decent banking that then opens up and out. Or you can cut it off and go into it. And it's the craziest damn track. It's awesome. It's awesome in iRacing.
Let's see. I know we're getting a lot of questions.
You hit some of the questions. Well,
we're barely
if
at the
specific drivers. They'll just have to wait. We have made it all the way to BJ McLeod.
we're 15 minutes in. Made it 4 cars up the grid. So that's where I'm at. I like the idea of BJ. If I see, I need to see what your optimizer put out when you ran again. But I like the idea of punting, and that's why I like starting here, because that's really the foundation of lines. I know a lot of the cores out there give you give you lap leaders, but the foundations for me are where I go with value plays, and then I usually pick a couple value plays and spread out my lines up top.
Yeah, well, and I like that because there's less scenario. Like if we're trying to pick the guy that's going to lead the most laps, that there's a lot of guessing involved, and you're trying to predict the circumstances other than Ryan Blaney, who will be on the pole. But under normal circumstances, it's tough to just get the flow of who's going to lead a bunch of laps. And it could be easy on a green flag race where we expect, the guy that's the best car to stay out front. I just don't know if we get that. Pit road has been crazy. Restarts have been pretty hairy. I did not expect restarts to be this dicey in this package. Like it almost races at times like the old package, which is very wild. So with that being the case, it's hard to pick those guys at the top. And so everybody picks everybody up top. Whereas like the guys at the bottom are going to be consistently in most lineups. Cody Ware, probably Galaxy Brain. Same thing with Castle. I don't have really much interest in Corey LaJoy. It could work if it's a wreck fest and it's a pivot. But if LaJoy works, more than likely it's because Gilliland and McLeod probably work too. And one of those two are in the optimal, right? All right. You liked AJ off of Ricky Stenhouse. Who gets lower ownership? I say AJ definitely gets lower ownership, so that's a smarter pivot play, but I worry about the mechanics of the car. You agree?
I'm not worried about the mechanical stuff.
All right.
That doesn't factor, or that doesn't bother me at all, because I like Justin Haley too.
But his car has been fine. He wrecked at Fontana and then bounced back the next week and had a pretty solid finish at Las Vegas, didn't he? I think he finished 25th, but he ran better than where he finished. No, he finished 23rd. He finished 17th. Ran 23rd-ish. Fine for a college car. Yeah, I like Haley too. Haley or Allmendinger? You're probably going Allmendinger, aren't you? Public would go Haley.
I have AJ projected to get a few fast laps. If I remove that and just go on, yeah. So if I remove that, Haley is the better value play. But I think AJ is going to get like 1 or 2 fast laps in this race.
I can't believe this thing is not going with. I'm going to take either of those guys. All right, Bubba Wallace. It's just not his track. This is not his package. And then he tweeted something out about depression last night, so I don't think things are good.
Oh, no, not that.
Did you see that?
He's having the best time of his life. What is he talking about?
It was something along the lines, I didn't read, I skimmed it, so I could be completely wrong, but it was something like, out there to my people who deal with fog, whatever.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Right?
I didn't know that was depression. I just thought, oh, he's with his dog. He's on a rattlesnake.
I think that's what it was. Maybe I interpreted it incorrectly. I don't know. Someone should probably bring that up on spreading misinformation and get us pulled from YouTube for spreading psychotropic.
You're not spreading anything wrong.
I just can't trust Bubba Wallace in this package until I see him go out and look. I mean, I guess he was running fine last week, but I believe he had spun out earlier in the race too, didn't he? Yeah.
He spun at the end, avoiding Jones.
He got wrecked. Yeah, that was because NASCAR. That's another thing. Yeah. I just can't get a hold of. Sometimes NASCAR's got the trigger ready to pull for the caution, and then other times, what are you waiting for? He's spinning around on track. Throw the caution. I mean, you're watching your clock. Like, Jones is in the middle of the track, guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, I guess we'll throw the caution. And then you got Bubba. Like, you can't blame Bubba for ARCA braking.
No,
because they left it green.
And then he almost, I talked about it in the video, we talked about it in the notes, but he almost hit the pace car too. We almost had just like a gigantic fatality, a traumatic event.
That's terrible. They got to be quick on the caution. Hopefully they learn from that. Now, if that's the case, then we should get plenty of cautions this week. And cautions breed cautions. You get that. Everybody knows that.
And I hate that because, they had the Spencer Voigt issue again. I was like, all right, they're going to be better. And then right off the bat, they already have an incident with David Starr in qualifying. Like we can't even.
What's that?
Can't even get through
what was that?
Qualifying, man. I
couldn't believe that.
Yeah. And they just.
I hope they pay for those tires.
Where are all the reporters being like, NASCAR? What happened there? I'm sure we'll hear about it like Wednesday, but nobody come on.
Bob Pockross is too busy out there saying no one wants practice. No one wants practice. The popular sentiment is no one wants practice. Meanwhile, like the thread is we all want practice, Bob. Everyone, well, the people that go to the track, campers want practice. No. We all want practice. Well, there's the general idea in the industry is that practice doesn't make for a better product. The product was great. No, it wasn't. The product sucked during COVID. It wasn't good at all. Mm-hmm. Well, practice didn't really help the racing. Well, we got practice now, and the racing is freaking awesome. You do the math. I don't know. But Bob's too busy doing that, carrying water for NASCAR to ever really touch on anything. Chris Busch or no for me.
Well, I didn't get to Bubba. I do. I like Bubba at 6,400 because
I'd give one thing to him. He's going out there and pushing it, trying to find the limit.
I did like that Bubba typically like this is where I did look at track history. I did like that he's typically at least an inside top 20 car. I think with him getting the practice sessions, and I did like seeing that he was at least 10th quickest in 5-lap averages right off the bat. With people actually racing, I think that does get pushed back to probably around like 16th or something.
Yeah.
But I do like Bubba for a top 20 finish. I had his ceiling at 13.
I would be careful with his practice day.
I don't hate Bubba. It's just the fact that I don't think I'll end up getting there with the lineups that I'm constructing. So like I like Bubba. Buscher's looking fine to me. I just don't think I'm going to get there in lineups.
I think these three drivers point out kind of what is going on with these practices. Bubba is going and testing a limit, and kudos to him. But that also is misleading. So we see, oh, wow, look at those fast times from Bubba. Cole Custer is so slow. Cole Custer's not pushing it. Buscher's not pushing it. Was it because they're afraid or is it because they're smart? We don't know. We don't know if they're being told to do that. We don't know the situation, but right now, this early in the season, especially at a track like this, comparing those data points is really dangerous to me. And my big takeaway is not so much the numbers on the page. It's that Cole Custer is fine laying up. And at his price, at his starting position, that's what I want. And Bubba Wallace looks like someone who wants to make a name for himself and is going to push it. And that's not what I want. And I get that could work in GPPs, but it's just too much of a risk for me. I'm going to take the guy who the data suggests is going to play it safe and not test the limit. So, and also Cole Custer is not going to get into fights with guys on track. Bubba Wallace just doesn't back down. If you're a Bubba fan, kudos to you. That's great. It's awesome. It's fun to have a driver like that to root for. But from the DFS perspective, I don't want him picking fights. I just want him to finish. And I don't know if he's going to finish. Harrison Burton.
Well, see, you keep skipping over my drivers. I want to talk about these guys some. So I looked at Cole Custer's races last year because I could not remember what caused him to finish 31st and 28th in those races. Because he had two, and I know it's different.
No, he finished 13th in the fall.
Yeah, the finishes are drastically different. We have 9th, 28th, 31st, and 13th. So I looked into those. In the spring race last year, he was running like 16th with like 7 to go. He got wrecked. He ran into an incident in the fall race in 2020 as well. I'm okay putting Cole Custer as a guy who's going to be running inside the top 18 today. And so him and Haley are my two favorite plays in the 6K range. And if I get there, it's going to be primarily on those two drivers. That's where I'm at with Custer.
Custer was running, so I top 5 Fontana for a little bit, bad pit crew situations. And then last week he just wrecked, right? Wasn't it?
He blew a motor.
No, yeah, he wrecked, but then he later blew a motor as well. So, I like Cole Custer as well. Harrison Burton then.
No.
There's a lot of value, isn't there? Gosh. I think that's what the optimizer is going with Cole Custer at the moment. Harrison Burton, what if I give you like some Brian Wilson talk? Does that convince you anything? No. Just don't believe in Harrison Burton. Don't believe in this car. Don't believe in Harrison Burton.
I don't believe in it. 24
any of it.
Fantasy wise, I can't see it. And if I get burned on that one, so be it.
If Harrison Burton hits, I mean, there's just too many other value plays. If there wasn't a Cole Custer back there, I'd probably play Burton over Bubba Wallace. I think I'd still take the punts over Burton, though. Easily. Take the savings. $1,000 is a lot. McDowell's a no for me. Both him and Suarez are no's for me, but I think there's just, if Suarez works, then I just missed it. Like what have I missed as Suarez works?
It has to be he shows up like he did at Auto Club, just late, maybe a pit road thing, because I have him for 33 points today. That's 5x, and I don't see it from Suarez today.
Ty Dillon's a no, correct?
Mm-mm.
All right, so now we're at the top half of the field, and now we're getting to the heavy hitters.
Which we're finally there. Thank you for staying. 97 of you guys here Sunday morning. I do appreciate it. We're now finally a lot of Ryan Blaney questions. He's starting first. We will get to him pretty much last.
If you're joining us, we are doing them in order. If you're watching the replay, which I guess we can go back and answer the questions, but if you had a question, you can just, whatever. We're halfway through, and we've gotten to the halfway mark. I think we're doing well. Martin Truex Jr., they are, I think JGR as a whole, I can't say as a whole because it looks like Kyle Busch is still going out there and pushing in his laps. We saw him go out there. I don't think necessarily pushed it last week. Last week, I think it was just a straight tire failure, if I remember correctly, in practice. But it does not appear that Martin Truex Jr. or Denny Hamlin are treating practice in a way maybe they did in the past, that they are really just going out there and getting comfortable. Is that your takeaway?
Yeah, that's my takeaway. They're not pushing it right now.
And it doesn't seem to hurt them at all either. I think a good argument could be made that neither were fast in practice last week, but both may have had possibly the best cars last week.
Yeah.
So you just throwing out their practice data then?
Yeah, I'm throwing it out. And why is Truex so cheap? He's at 98. We're gonna have soft pricing. That's just how it is with salaries being released for qualifying, like the good
Mhm.
old days. But that's insane, And this whole year,
History.
this whole year I've been saying that anytime I like a guy who's in the 9K range who should be a 10K driver, I'm just gonna start playing him.
I loved him starting anywhere, really. And now you're getting him starting 20th. Last year they had the best car, period. He should have won the championship, but you get that late race caution, and then Larson just steals the lead on pit road, has the short run speed. It's very difficult to pass inside the top 5. We need to remind people of that. Truex is not going to have really a problem on a long run getting into the top 5, but passing inside the top 5 with the resin, it is very difficult to get around cars. And it took Truex forever to get around people last season. Most of the passes have come on pit road. That's just the way Phoenix is now. So you can see some guys probably who don't deserve to lead laps that could lead laps in this race that don't necessarily have the best car, but you just can't get around the leader. I mean, I guess the takeaway there is if you're thinking about rostering, one, don't get frustrated when the driver that you get can't get forward, because it's what's going to happen. He's got a better car. He should lead laps. It doesn't matter. In the top 5, with the way they put that resin up, and go back and read any of the tweets from last year's race, it's people complaining about the PJ1, people complaining about the resin. And you're going to see the same thing. So you could see guys that you may not be as like Christopher Bell could lead a bunch of laps again. I'm not going to go there, but it's quite possible, because if he just gets the lead on pit road or restarts correctly, he's going to hang on to that spot. But yeah, Truex, I'm jamming him in. Might be is the optimizer got Truex? It's got to have Truex.
And Truex is about my highest owned driver, or the highest percentage driver last night when I was running.
Safe. Like, I just don't see how you can go any wrong. And then you got Chase Elliott right there. I'd rather have Truex than Chase Elliott, but it's not like Chase is that far behind. He participated in the test session. We know his history here. He will have a good setup. Am I wrong to say Truex is the better play?
I think Truex is the better play. I think Elliott is. I don't know if I'm going to get there for GPPs. He screams like a play that should be there, but like he's never done much at Phoenix. And
Who's that?
Elliott. Like I said, I mean he has a win. He's gotten laps led before, and he's led a lot, and he's had finishes hurt by tire failures as well. But head to head between the discount that I get off of Elliott to Truex, I like Truex a lot.
So if we go to Elliott, we know he won the championship in 2020. We know that he had a pretty good blend. He wasn't the best long run or short run car. There were times there in that championship race last season where it could have been his. So he's right there. Now, whether he cycles to the front, that's a whole nother story. And again, those are races where there's just most of the drivers are deferential towards the top guys. They let them, like, all right, it's a championship race. Like, people might overreact to Logano's poor performance in the last Phoenix race. He was awesome in all the ones before that. Well, that was the first Phoenix race for Logano where it didn't mean anything because he wasn't in the championship. You go to the other races, the spring where it mattered, he was awesome. The fall before that where he was in the championship, he was awesome. Spring before that, he was awesome. Low downforce at Phoenix, Logano has been freaking amazing. Elliott, I believe last spring, all the Hendrick cars had to go to the back, and they were adjusting the setup on the fly. They eventually got it dialed in. He ran pretty well, but he just wasn't better than Truex. So, in a vacuum where you're comparing the two, yeah, Truex is better. But if you take Truex out of the equation and say, well, what's Elliott? Well, Elliott's to me, one of the best drivers in the field. It's just that I'd rather have Truex. I think most people are the same way. Keselowski, are we putting him to the side for now and saying I'm not really considering Keselowski moving forward?
Yeah, we're gonna
still have hope and faith.
Sit and
wait. I don't think we have to wait. I think it's done. It's RFK is Roush.
You put a fork in him. Is that what you're saying? It is.
Yeah,
what it is.
Well, I think he's been done for a while. If Keselowski still had it, then I don't believe they would have just quickly pushed him to the side. I think they would have hung with him. They knew that he was old and, the air was pointing down. Ross Chastain. Again, if we're thinking of this archetype of a driver that's going out and really pushing it in practice, we saw him do that at Fontana and he wrecked. And so then he goes to Las Vegas, and it looked like he sandbagged a little bit because he wanted to take it easy on the car, and he had a much better car in the race. And he benefited from clean air, good restarts, good pit stops. But it looks like he's now back to pushing it again in practice. And maybe that's because he was with Group B. That's another angle of, well, maybe the guys that go out in Group B are going to be more aggressive than the guys that go out in Group A. No. He was one of the guys during practice said, I don't like this Group A, Group B stuff. We should all just go out. It is a huge disadvantage, but they're not going to change it because now they can use those guys to do TV spots. And like, instead of like, hey, let's watch the actual practice, we'll spend half the time talking to Tyler.
I mean, God dang, they start the TV broadcast to practice 2 minutes into practice. Like, we're just.
I know if you're ever watching the feed, like the data's coming through for like 5 minutes.
I
don't know what the delay is.
Xfinity yesterday, I was like, "What? Why am I getting this stuff before TV's even live? We're missing. It says we got 32 cars on the track. What are we doing?" Yeah,
no, it's the strangest thing. I don't know how delayed it is. I don't know how they make that stuff link up. I think they do a big delay and then they cut stuff in the commercials and they do all kinds of manipulation, but no one ever know. All right. Chastain, where's your stand on that? To me, I'm just going to say no. If I get burned by Chastain, I get burned. But I think that it's an interesting GBP play for some foxes out there.
I mean, like, what do you have? I have him at 44 points. What do you?
This has just not been a good track for him. And if people are going to wreck, he's going to be one of them. I got him at I'm 47.
Okay, I'm the same ballpark. Then if that's the case, there's just better plays out there.
That's his ceiling, and his floor is.
And that's because I get a lot of questions. Well, like, oh, this driver is hitting value, which yes, like 5X should be like the bare minimum for drivers, but there's so many people hitting value now. We need to then elevate and then look at projected points. So, like, sure, it's good that people are projected for value, but we need to go much farther than that.
I think we can get a massive score today with the place differential, with the 312 laps, with the value being available. Mm-hmm. You're gonna these guys are going to crush the scoreboard. There's just got to be 5X is not gonna 6X might not get it done from some of these guys. Kevin Harvick's. I'm going no on Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, I'm going no. He was dominant in the high downforce era, and
was that when he was doing his best?
You say that again?
Was that when he was doing his best at Phoenix? I know there was a tire situation where they had figured out a tire too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was ages ago.
Yeah, I was like, I've seen nearly nothing but Harvick win in person, and I was like, oh, that had to be during the high downforce era, and it was even farther. It was during the high. It was during high downforce, and I was like, oh, well, that's why. And then you can see the drop off when it went to the 750 with low downforce. He would finish 6th, 4th, but he wasn't leading the laps. He wasn't running away with the race. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing Harvick today.
Yeah, So even if they do have long run speed, let's just pretend that they have the best long run speed. He's got to work his way through traffic. And once he does that, then he's got to pass someone up front. We haven't seen him do that. And you're probably going to need short run speed to do that. You're going to need to run the resin to do a lot of these. There's so many things that say no to that. Kurt Busch is a no for me.
No for me.
All right. Eric Jones is a no for me.
No for me.
Austin Dillon is a no for me.
No for me. Yep.
All right. I'll give you the floor with Tyler Reddick, even though you've already discussed this, but I think it's worth repeating.
Yeah, I think it's I'll have a lot of Reddick. I'm not sure what I'll be at, but he'll probably be my highest tone driver.
He's not going to get rostered.
He works in so many lineups. I think he's still underpriced, and he gets there really just based on if he can just finish, around 7th, 6th without any fast laps, without any laps led. And if he's doing that, I think he's going to get those. They've been killer. RCR has been killer, and maybe I do need to look at Dillon to an extent. I just don't think Dillon's going to get laps led or fast laps, but I love Reddick today.
My concern is I don't know. I think he needs at least a 5th place finish, and I think he's going to need some fast laps, which I believe he can do. My concerns maybe not. Well, so there's two concerns. One, it's Tyler Reddick. He's volatile. He's risky. He can wreck. Everybody can. You got to decide what kind of risk you're worth taking. Two, completely outside of Tyler Reddick is just what if Joey Logano has a big day, Kyle Larson has a big day, Truex has a big day, and so they all score like 70, 80 points, and then the build just requires you to take some super cheap guys. And so Reddick has a good day. Reddick performs. He doesn't wreck like we're asking him to do. Finishes fifth. It's just that three other guys cycled to the front and led a bunch of laps and also had good days like they were supposed to. That's my concern with rostering Reddick. I think that would probably be the popular view from a lot of people too, is that a lot of people are scared of Reddick. The other thing is that there's just ways that Reddick
he doesn't get there.
There's just so many opportunities for these guys to score points. And if we're going to get caution flags, you keep re-racking and giving these guys opportunities to score.
What do you think of Kyle Busch?
I think I've faded him as much as I could last week. Not completely. But I'd rather have Truex. I'd rather have Chase Elliott. I'd rather have Joey Logano. I'd rather have Kyle Larson. Yeah, I'd rather have all those guys. And he hasn't been that strong here recently. And what did he do in practice? Is he fine? Yeah, he's fine. I probably don't want to overreact to that. But I don't know. What's the sentiment around him?
No clue. I haven't heard much about Kyle. In terms of trying to squeeze in as many guys as possible, and it goes back to why I'm so interested in putting this weekend. I'll probably have quite a bit of Truex.
Yeah.
I'll still probably have quite a bit of Reddick. It'll just depend on the build. But if I'm trying to combine drivers, my priority would probably go Blaney, Hamlin, Larson, and then Kyle for this. But I do want to have at least a line with Kyle. I want to have a line with Logano as well. I know that's not really a helpful answer. I don't feel a certain way towards Kyle Busch. Like, I don't hate him. I don't see him being a dominant play. Same thing with Logano. I'm going to try and force one of those guys into one of my lines, but that's my takeaway on them. I don't feel a strong weight for or against Kyle Busch or Logano today.
So yeah, it's unfortunate that my big takeaway there is there's just so many of these guys on the board in the top 20 that ownership's going to get spread throughout. So I don't believe you really need to play games. Like I haven't run anything to see what ownership is going to be, but I don't see how anyone's. And then there's so much value in play. Like, there really should be one guy that wins this championship, unless I'm missing something. So the bad news is I don't know if Kyle Busch is going to have that big race, and I can't tell you one way or the other. Good news is that because of that, we get an idea that ownership is going to be spread out, if that even helps. I mean, I always get more excited when there's a bigger pool of drivers to select from. Logano seems like a slam play to me, and I don't believe that he is really high on anyone's radar. Truex is probably much higher. So is Chase Elliott. And Kyle Larson's Kyle Larson. Maybe people will talk themselves out of that, but good luck with that. You've been watching racing this year. How's that working out for you? Even though I don't think he was optimal last week, was he?
No, he scored fine. You were fine. You did. If your lineup did not lose because of Kyle Larson last weekend.
So yeah, you could. So there's Logano, and Logano's been awesome. So just Logano versus Kyle Busch. That's Logano no-brainer to me, right? Okay.
Yeah, I guess I probably highlight Logano, man, because
he's cheaper. He's been better. He looked good in practice. He qualified poorly going back to that because he spun out. Right? That's he could be one. He really should be number one. But because he spun out, he gets the last spot. So you are getting probably the best car with the maximum possible place differential points that car could get. Like, this is kind of like if you go back to the round qualifying days where you get the guy just missed it and couldn't get into that last round, so he's starting on 13th. And you know that, well, if he just could have gotten to that last round for whatever reason, he could be, 1, 2, or 3. God, this qualifying is now, if people think this kind of qualifying is crazy, just wait about 48 hours and your mind's going to be blown. There's a little hint to people. So if you're listening at the 52-minute mark, that's the only hint I'm going to give you. If you think this is crazy qualifying and how this is the strategy we've got to learn here, just wait. Anyway, I like Logano. Bowman, I kind of like. I mean, we did this show last year. You liked Bowman. You were ready to jump on that, and I wasn't ready. And he ended up wrecking, but it wasn't his fault. He always runs into trouble here. He should be good at this track. It's just not happening. And no one is going to play Bowman. Do you have any interest? I can't do it.
I'm just on Reddick too much, man.
That's fine.
I can't.
But he could, if Bowman, and look, can Bowman have a good day here? Yes. Can it finally click for him? Yes. Are the Hendrick cars fast? Of course they are. Well, it wasn't that great in practice. Wasn't that great in practice last week. I think she was kind of decent in practice. He'll be fine. But if he has a good day and leads laps, which he absolutely can do, all he has to do is have a good day on pit road, run in the top 5 like he's been doing. He will blow up this slate. I can't do Cindric, even though he has been good here in the past. He is having a really good season. And this is just kind of the beginning. We've got a road course coming up. I mean, he's got to be really positive and confident. He's got the win in the bag. He's been running well, and he's got a road course coming up in 2 weeks, which he probably is going to win.
He's going to be there.
It's probably going to be his race. I know people don't want this could be freaking Austin Cindric here. The way that the schedule's set up, and he's already got the win. All he's got to do is just go out and run top 5s, top 10s at the intermediates, which he can do in a Penske car. Run 15th at the short tracks, which you can do in a Penske car. Win the road courses. Austin.
He got so lucky. Keselowski left Penske.
Well, he got kicked out. He should have been up last year.
But the point was Cindric was going to be in the 21.
Garbage. Yeah. He would have been in the 21 last year, and that would not have been the best spot for him.
Yeah.
They played it right. They were smart, right? They didn't rush him up, even though I don't think it was rushing. But, when Byron won a championship, they moved him up. He struggled. Suarez got moved up too quick. He struggled. They gave Austin Cindric that extra year, and it seems to have helped. All right, people don't want to hear about that. They just want to hear the picks. I love Kyle Larson. Got no problem with Kyle Larson. He was great in both races last year. People will see the first race and say, well, we only finished 7th. Well, you mentioned in your video, I think, 17 million penalties.
Mm-hmm.
He drove through the field 7,000 times. And we already talked about how it's hard to pass with the resin, and he did it. And I think he drove through the field again he did it again in the fall race. They went on some stupid, crazy pit strategy early in the race in the championship, and he drove through the field in a necessary amount of times. It's good luck fading Larson. What are your takes?
I'm going to play Larson. That doesn't scare me at all. And Larson is not going to lead at the start of the race anyway. Because I do believe that Blaney's going to have a strong car. Hamlin's going to have a strong car. So Byron. I like Larson for really like a stage 2 and stage 3 type of play. And when we're viewing a race as a multiple lap leader type of race, I think Larson fits right in there really easily.
Yeah, and I think another thing is his pit crew has been so amazing, and he's been so good at getting in it. Even though last year he was not good at getting on pit road and was speeding. But that also, no practices and stuff like that. I mean, they didn't have practice last year in the spring, right? You had to get your not telemetry, but you had to get your gauges correctly at the beginning of the race without practice, and they clearly had messed something up there. And so he sped several times. That should be fixed. It's hard to pass. So guys that can get spots on pit road, we really should be looking at the pit road data. That's probably, I hate to say it, going to determine who's leading this race. Now, that being the case, you might not want to play Ryan Blaney. The way that pit crew just absolutely fragged him.
Man, you want to talk about crap in the bed? That's what Blaney's pick crew has done the entire season so far.
Look, Chastain. What do you have? Great pit crew. Boom, DFS. Blaney, terrible pit crew, dead in DFS. Probably spending too much time looking at lap data and history when we really should just dive into the pit stops and say, all right, especially at the track, more so than Las Vegas where you could pass, and Fontana where the passing was, it's going to be difficult to pass. It's just the way it is. It's a short track and with the resin, so pit road is going to be the game. Larson's got a great pit crew. All right.
Yeah, we'll skip by these next three guys. I'm not on Briscoe. I'm not on Almirola. I'm not on Bell. What are you on those?
Yeah, let's skip them.
All right. I'm not on Byron.
Did not participate in the test session. Did not seem to hold him back whatsoever, though. Was he good at LA? Did he get wrecked at LA? I can't remember what happened in that race.
I can look.
I'll pull it up.
Right.
But what are your thoughts while I pull it up? What are your thoughts?
I don't like Byron just due to the fact that he is so low on my priorities that I don't think I'm going to get to him.
Make him a good player.
Blaney's on there, Hamlin's on there, Larson's on there, Logano's on there, Kyle Busch is on there, Reddick's on there, Elliott is on there. I would honestly rather play Elliott than Byron. I know they're two drastically different price ranges, but if I was going to prioritize trying to go to someone who's going to be lower owned, I'd rather it be Elliott. And at that point, I'm 6 drivers deep, and Byron just isn't there for me.
That's probably what everyone's going to do, and that means his ownership is going to be really low. You got really low ownership on a very fast race car. At least what we have seen in practice. Again, that we're sort of comparing apples and oranges here. We have some people who are sandbagging, some people who aren't really even really sandbagging. They're just taking it easy. So it's hard to really look at the data and decide who is fast and who is not fast. Let me see. Clash, William Byron. He ran the 5th most laps inside the top 5 at Los Angeles. He ran all 150 inside the top 10, 89 inside the top 5. Going back to Logano and Busch, both of them ran all 150 laps inside the top 5.
Oh, I completely forgot Logano even won that race.
Oh yeah, he won it. That was one of the featured matchups was Logano versus Busch. I took Logano.
Oh, speaking of that,
Logano said I'm going out there to win. What's up?
I'm so bad. Somebody was asking head-to-head bets. You still have your article, right?
Yep, it's there. Just go to DK Nation or racefortheprize.com. You can click on the link and you can see. Now, I make those early in the week, but I usually just stick with them. Very rarely do I see something that completely changes my mind. And if that's the case, then the odds are going to change and shift. So I stick with. I'm trying to count my record. I don't make any excuses, right? I make those picks usually on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Here we go.
And I count them as wins or losses based on that. It's just, like if something significantly changes on Sunday, well, whatever, it's printed. So
this is the question. I was trying to find this one for you.
Yeah, I would still go with Truex. Now, again, I have to pick those. It's not like in other articles, you get to pick like, hey, what you want to do. But I've been NASCAR for whatever reason, although they're not retweeting it. That was part of the deal. They said, hey, if you focus on these featured matchups, we're going to promote it through our social media, which they haven't done. But nonetheless, I'm still stuck having to pick the same whatever 4. So there's 4 featured matchups every week, and I've got to write those up. This is not one that I would gravitate towards, right? Like Hamlin versus Martin Truex Jr., that doesn't seem like a slam dunk play. I have to write it up. So I have to give a call. But if I didn't have to, I don't know why anyone would go near this bet. I think Truex wins it, but you get a short run at the end, well, then Hamlin wins it. Like, that's not a bet that I really want to make. I feel more comfortable targeting those when I feel like, hey, this guy's going to face more adversity, run into more wrecks.
Yeah, or like when they had Keselowski.
You pick on that every week. Yeah. Those are like they had Kurt Busch, they had Keselowski. Those are the ones to take. That's not one that not that I don't feel confident in Mark Truex Jr. It's just that that's a bet that they put to try to get people to bet because it's popular drivers, and that's a lot what they do, but not really for sharp bettors. Denny Hamlin We're riding off his practice. We're going to continue to do that. He's got a good pit stall. Everything is good. Maybe some recency bias will sway some people away, but if you look at what he's done, and I think this needs to be emphasized, all these top fives, was it 6 top fives in the last 8 races? And when he didn't get a top 5, I think the 20 spring race, he got into a wreck early in the race with Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski. It wasn't really his fault. Mm-hmm. So really 6 top 5s in the last 7 races. That's again with packages changing left and right. Every year they're changing the package at Phoenix, and there he is every year at the top. Not just getting top 5s, but also his average hog points are something like 25. If he gets you that 25, top 5, probably good to go. Maybe not, though. Like, I guess what hurts Hamlin is if Elliott or Keselowski, or Elliott or Truex both sneak in. Where are you on Hamlin?
So I'm at this point. I'm deep in pit data, and I'm liking Hamlin more and more.
Yeah, I mean he did have that bad.
That's what I'm looking at.
That was more of a fluke.
Screen. Go ahead. Sorry.
That was more of a fluke situation last week with the tire hose anomaly.
I forgot he blew the transmission. He's not going to do that again.
Oh no, he blew the transmission, but before that, he lost a bunch of spots because they ran over. He had to back up because they ran over the hose. But I mean, it did happen. You can't act like it didn't happen. But overall, I think his pit crew has been pretty quick. And JGR is one of the teams that I would like to look at the JGR data versus the Hendrick data and compare the pit crews, because we know that JGR is just your cup only. Whereas the Hendrick guys, I believe, are going down and doing Xfinity work as well. And I wonder if that's going to be detrimental or if those reps are going to be good. I mean, really, it only should matter to one guy, right? The guy changing the wheel. Mm-hmm. Everybody else's job is the same as far as I know, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a repetition for the guy. And I don't think it's that big. If anything, I still think it helps the Hendrick guys. Like when I'm looking at last week, it really is. I mean, Chase Elliott's looking good on pit road as well. Maybe, and like I said, I'm deep in the weeds over here at this point. But it's making me want to go ahead.
No, you're right. Like it's deep, but it's kind of important. If you can't, like, it's important for this part of the conversation. It's not important for Todd Gilliland. It's not important for BJ McLeod. It's not probably that important for Ricky Stenhouse, although he has been hurt on pit road where he starts this week. It's not going to really matter for these value guys. But if we're going to decide who's going to lead laps, let me ask you this. Is the lap leader going to be predicated by how fast they were in practice, what they've done in track history, or the guy who has the best pit crew today?
It's going to be pit road. It really is.
It is. It's 100% that. You can't pass in the top 5. And it doesn't matter what the damn practice data says or the track history. And you can curse at the screen. And I watch these races on replay. I watch them live, and I do the same thing. Like, get around him, pass the guy, you're faster. It ain't that easy. Yeah. The easiest way to get around someone is on pit road. And you want to pick the lap leaders, it's going to be pit road. Mm-hmm. That's what scares me about Ryan Blaney. You know they're going to just...
I know, yeah, man. Like, I'm looking at Blaney's, just that crew's incompetent. And it's like 0.4 of a second, adding up time after time after time after time. But that is huge.
Yeah, and his car tailed off a lot last year in the spring race. He's got a new crew chief, too. I don't know what Hassler's going to bring. Obviously, they got a pretty fast race car. But think of it this way. If Joe Logano doesn't spin out, Blaney doesn't start on the pole. If Blaney doesn't start on the pole, are you going to roster him as much? Probably
no.
not. Especially when you then factor in the pit crew situation. Blaney gets the pole, yeah, it's a huge advantage. He does have the number 1 pit stall, which may help him overcome some of his problems. I mean, that was the big thing with Larson, having that number 1 stall and launching. That won the freaking championship for him. Having number 1 stall, having a fast pit crew. I mean, really, you want to crap on this sport? The guy won the championship because he had the number 1 pit stall last year. we got all the other Kyle Larson storylines that which overshadowed that, and so but the reality was the thing was decided on pit road. I hate to say it, like you want to kicking a 5-yard field goal to win the championship. It's very anticlimactic and really like makes the rest of the race look bad.
It really makes the whole 36 race season pretty pretty void.
No one will say that.
Yeah.
But the truth was like that was a bit like I'm surprised NBC, who are always trying to make these pit crew guys into a thing, like almost got trading cards for them. I'm sure they're gonna have pit road NFTs this year, but like, they're always doing that. And so hey, here's the one time the pit crew had a big deal, and it's like no, the only time you ever make a big deal about a pit crew member is when he's kick dropping the wall for Chase Elliott.
Yeah, dude, I'm leaning more and more to bumping Hamlin as my priority between Blaney and Hamlin here.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm for the next before race, I'm diving into the pit data, and that's how I'm going to make my decisions. We got the value kind of where we like it. Now it's just deciding between these guys in the top 20. I think I'm going to go with pit road and see where that takes me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. What you can get, you can view the same thing we're looking at if you guys support us. And see, I forget to sell too much. I know I waited an hour to do it, but we have tons and tons of data, lap by lap data, pit data, tons of sheets. If you want past DFS points, past optimals, whatever you're wanting, it's here, and that ain't me overselling at all. See, I'm using ain't, like you. Whenever I'm really confident, that's when we start throwing out ain't. But
I'm a lunatic. Don't copy anything. That's the worst thing you can do.
Oh man. See, I'm awake now. I'm not using the term Dominator. Do you want to end it on talking about favorite hogs here?
Yeah, and let's just hit the questions as we wrap up, since people have been so gracious to join us, and I think most of these guys subscribe. So the least we can do is answer. Favorite hogs will be for me. I got to go with Truex. At some point, there's going to be a long run, and he will cycle to the front. So I like Truex. I think you also have to consider Larson. Now, I don't know if I'm going to play Larson or not, but I think that if I had to just pick a guy who has a pit crew and can lead laps, he would be there. And Joe Logano is my third guy. So I could change my mind. I could warm up to Hamlin. I could go back and go with Blaney. I just don't think that it's going to work out. Man, Blaney's had a fast car this year. Terrible luck. Those are my three.
My three, Truex is there. I think Hamlin's number 2 for me. And I think Larson's number 3, and then it would go Logano.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. However, at this point, I am highlighting Logano. I'm highlighting Elliott. I'm highlighting Hamlin. I want these guys in lines due to their upside on pit road.
The good news with Elliott and Truex too, though, is like pit road cannot go their way on several stops, and they can still work because of the place differential baked in. The race can be a bunch of short runs, and they can still work based on that place differential. Whereas Hamlin, the guy starting a little close to the front, I think are more impacted by the circumstances of the race.
Mm-hmm.
So just like obviously, Elliott and Truex are safe. Duh. All right, what else we got question wise?
Let's see. So with that said, I don't hate Blaney and Hamlin lines. I will probably have a Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin line today. If Blaney stays out there, if he doesn't lose the lead on pit road at any point, he can lead the first 60-something laps to get 40 laps or 40 fast laps.
There's going to be a competition caution. I don't know if they've announced it yet. Right? There'll be a competition caution.
Yeah.
So if you're, I don't know, and I'm an inside source, but I thought that they said they're going to lean on competition cautions for most of the season. So Blaney's got a good chance of losing that lead pretty quickly, if that's the case. Maybe he gets it back. Maybe he drives to the front, but like I said, it's not easy to pass in the top 5. So I probably won't play both of them. I can understand trying to do it. Does that change your mind? Anything in competition caution?
No, I don't think they're going to do it.
You don't think they're going to have a competition caution?
I don't think they would. I mean,
why not? Did it last week?
They did, and it makes no sense. I don't know why they keep doing it. I wish they would announce it.
They're going to want to let them check the tires. That's what they'll say.
They did a friction test today, so they're not adding any more resin, so that's good. Which I don't know what they do. They go out there and just step on it. Like I would like to see a video proof of this friction test, NASCAR. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see, did I miss any? And a lot of these questions, because we did, if you just join us now or tune in, we start from the bottom of the grid, win our way up. We've talked about every single driver at some point here.
Yeah, we covered them all, and we covered them in order to make it easier for people to watch the replay. So you're welcome. But I don't mind answering the questions that I'm repeating here.
Let's see. What about your top 3 values? I'll answer this first, and then I'll let him get it, so I'm not involved in this question. I like, excuse me, I like BJ McLeod. I like Haley. I need to see salaries real quick. BJ McLeod, I like Haley, and I like Cole Custer. That's where I'm at.
People are going to give you a hard time about McLeod, but we went over that. So if you are joining us, you can watch the beginning, and we explain why McLeod's not a Galaxy Brain pick this week. Yes, in the past, we have recommended McLeod for almost no reason whatsoever, for dubious reasons. But I believe there are enough circumstances, and there's enough that support that play. All right, so McLeod's fine. Gilliland's fine. Under 5,000. I like Haley as well. I like Cole Custer as well. And I don't think any of those guys in the back are terrible, but those are probably where I'm going. I may just try to avoid the Stenhouse mess if that's going to be chalk. And I, unlike you, think Allmendinger, I worry about that car. I'd rather have Haley. Okay, who else we got? What other questions we got?
I'll answer that. I mean, we can find this, because this will take quite a bit of time, but you can find this out on your own through the sheets.
Go to the spreadsheet.
You can look at every pit stop and stuff.
You can look at the pit stop data for the last 2 years. I don't know. I know I've got this year in there. I know I got 2020 in there. So go for it.
Let me see. Keselowski's still a no. We got a lot of Keselowski questions throughout this whole thing.
I guess that would be track history that is attracting people to Brad Keselowski, but he just hasn't raced well. You know, when you got your former teammate and Ryan Blaney, like, there should be friends basically calling you garbage. It's one thing for me to say Keselowski's washed up. Like, what do I know? I'm just some idiot on a YouTube channel. If Ryan Blaney is basically calling you garbage throughout the week and not apologizing for it, he's probably toast, don't you think? And Roush is still Roush. What do we like? Oh, but Keselowski bought part of the team. Keselowski's not rich by any. He's poor too. Like, it's not like he's got billions that he's funneling in. He had to shut down his truck team years ago and turn it into some sort of manufacturing company that makes something that we don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. There's not an influx of money, so I think Roush is still freaking Roush.
And how much do you think he owns of that? It has to be like 25%, like, or below. Like, there's no way he bought half the company.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, it probably wasn't that expensive. Roush is terrible, right? Yeah. I mean, Pitbull was able to buy Chip Ganassi's crap. Or Trackhouse, or who? Justin Marks. I don't know. Yeah, I think Roush is still Roush. It's no for me on Keselowski. He has not shown anything.
And then we'll probably end on this. For me, I'm still, maybe I do need to highlight Byron, but I just like other plays so much, and same thing with Bowman.
They're interesting because there's just so many good plays that Byron will get overlooked and that Bowman will go overlooked. And they're a great way to differentiate. You don't really need to differentiate with so many plays working. You just need to pick the drivers that work. Right? You don't need to pick Byron because you're going in a different direction. You just need to pick him because you think that he's going to lead a bunch of laps. Unfortunately for Byron, he has never done that here. Now, this is early in his career, but off the top of my head, I don't remember Byron leading a bunch of laps at any short track. He ran great at Nashville last year. Flat track tendencies. He had to drive through the field as well. So maybe that was it. That was a low downforce race. So maybe that's it. Maybe he is on the edge of figuring that out. We know that Bowman should be good at this track. But we know that other people are good at this track and are slam dunk plays. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to end it, because we did all the questions that are being asked are things that we did talk about. I'm sure it's people on delay. I think this is a fantastic show. I think this was one of our best shows, and I think I think it was pretty good.
I think it was all right.
My
concern is that we didn't give the picks, the play. After Fontana, I felt pretty comfortable with some of the guys, but it's just the pool is so wide open, which is fun. It's exciting. There's a lot of different ways to go. But the only reason I'm saying that, it's wishy-washy, because I feel wishy-washy. I hate to be here and not the Byron Bowman question. I didn't really answer that. Push comes to shove, gun to my head, I'm not playing Byron or Bowman is my answer.
Yeah, but I like the pit data stuff that we had in the last 15 minutes. I think that's going to lean.
Now, is
if
that
I'm debating a driver head to head, I'm going to look at pit data.
But is that a cop out? Is that I don't want to have to make the hard choice, so I'm just going to lean on the pit? I don't know if I'm doing something there in my head subconsciously to, force myself. I want some sort of data to trust.
All right, fine. All right, last 2 minutes. Who are the picks then? Gun to my head.
Truex is the pick.
Truex. BJ.
You like BJ. Now, most people are going to go Gilliland, so I don't mind double punting. I think someone said something about double punt. I haven't really messed around with the build, but Gilliland and BJ, the Gilly BJ, why not?
I'm still going to play probably more Reddick than I should, so that's for me. What about you?
I don't believe I need to go there. I like it. It's interesting, but if I can get Truex and Elliott, or I can get, I just don't know if I need to go there and gamble. I think he will be fine. And I don't want to make Reddick into a thing this week. It's fun.
And
I like Logano a lot. I really do.
You like Logano. I like Hamlin slightly more. I'll still end up playing Logano as well. I think those are good picks. Is that a good place to end it? I think that's good. All right, thank you for joining.
How many laps in this race? 312.
312. Let's see. I'm pretty sure he asked about Dominator points. I can get that for you real quick.
You had to end it.
312.
Well, I can just give you on average. You're going to get
that's 78 fast lap. 78 laps led. 140.4 fast laps.
On average, the number one performance is 62. The second most hog points are 42, 31, 18, 8, 9. So there it is. So if you're like, should I get to it? On average, you need 3. If you're using the spreadsheet, you can see it crystal clear over the last how many races that is, 7 races. The average of the most hog points is 62. Well, obviously, you got to have a hog. The average of the guy with the second most hog points is 42 hog points. You're going to need a second hog. The average for the third guy is 31. You're going to need 3. I just don't. And you can look at the past optimal lineups. You can even look in the spreadsheet and see exactly where these guys started and where those points are coming from. Here's a clue. They're mainly coming from the front, but be careful with that because of how qualifying was set up in the past and all those things. Don't at me.
All right.
We're never gonna end. We gotta get out of
No,
here.
I'm trying to, but we keep getting pulled back in because I do love doing this. 140 people here on a Sunday morning. Thank you so much.
I don't got anywhere to go. You got somewhere to go?
I don't have anywhere to go.
All right, well, let's stick around for a couple of more minutes then. If there's any more questions, now people are like, well, we don't really want you to stick around. We want you to
they're like, oh, I've already left. You told me you were ending 4 times. You can't. Why are you still alive?
Since that Hulk point thing, I will mention. All right. Let me just throw that on the screen.
All right.
Nah, we don't need to. But anyway, I can say it out loud. So starting position wise, the guy starting first on average scores 39 hog points over the last 7 races. So if you want to play Ryan Blaney,
oh no. Dang it, right when he's going on his thing, Pearce freezes. I'm going to keep talking until I want to see if he unfreezes here. Maybe he just crashed his own computer. bring up the data. All right, he slowly. We lasted a long time. I've never had that happen with Pearce before. So I'll have to when he comes back, I'll be like, look, Pearce, everything you just said is useless. I need you to say it again.
Hello?
Okay. All right. You're back now. Yeah. You got to repeat. The first time that's happened.
I lost internet.
So I assume you're looking at positions leading. I think you got to start over.
Yeah. So basically, the front row has scored a bunch of points, but the second row has scored a bunch of points as well. And we've seen other guys in the past score from as far back as 13th, 14th place. And it's the usual suspects, too. It's Chase Elliott with big scores in 3 out of the last 4. It's Joe Logano with big scores, hog point wise, in 3 out of the last 4. Denny Hamlin, 3 out of the last 4. Hamlin last year turned it on, or Truex last year seemed to have clicked. Larson last year, first year with Hendrick, it clicks. Ryan Blaney was good. I mean, like, we know who to target. It's just build enough lineups, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like the data is pretty clear. The trends are pretty clear. We should know who to expect to lead laps. And I think you give an edge to Elliott and Truex since they're going to get place differential points.
Damn it, Pearce, they called it. I gotta keep believing in you with these stupid competition cautions. That's unbelievable. Lap 25.
That's way too early.
Here's
the thing: if people are going to stay out, they can't stay out. But will people take 2 tires? Someone will. Someone will take 2 tires because you have enough fuel. Oh yeah.
All right.
Blow it up. 2 tires.
I have to because we were live. I got up at like 8:30 before this. Zach, I do want to say thank you for joining the Patreon right when we went live. I appreciate that. I'll be adding you either right. I'm going to add you right now. So if Pearce is if he can carry this talk.
All right. So the thought that enters my mind, since we're going to give that caution on lap 25, and I've got to go through the data and see where I have this because I'm thinking who is going to go Galaxy Brain and try to take 2 tires or no tires. And it is kind of stupid to do that early in the race. But if there is not that much fall off, maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. All you need is one idiot to go with 2 tires. But I'm pretty sure someone did it last year. And so then all of a sudden, Blaney can have a great pit stop. And all of a sudden, he's no longer starting first. And
starting 4th, yeah.
And now all of a sudden, there goes all those points you were banking. I mean, that lap 25 caution, that definitely boosts up Truex. Well, actually, that kind of hurts him a little bit because we want long runs where he's going to be able to work his way to the front. But it definitely hurts the guy starting up front.
Well, that helps Larson out because Larson's going to probably be 20th, maybe even a bit higher by that competition caution.
Who all is going to the back? Have we got any information on that?
I'm sure Bob has it somewhere.
One of the things that I want to do is go back through pit data and see who. Let me see. I don't think I have anything from last year. I can look at the race notes. Let me look at the race notes from last year and see if anyone did anything done with pit road for because someone, if you had to guess, you think someone's going to take 2 tires?
I think somebody does. It might even be who's taken 2. Okay, if you could answer this for me, I would appreciate it right now. Can you find who's taken 2 tires at Las Vegas last week? It was McDowell, Eric Almirola.
Yeah, McDowell caused that wreck too because he took 2.
Yeah.
He did it immediately. Now he did drop back. Remember, his tires were worn out and he was struggling. He slows down. He gets into, I think, Jones, who then gets into Briscoe, who then gets into Suarez, something like that, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kozlowski did it. Kozlowski will probably do it. I think
Kozlowski will do it.
Let me look at last year's
Zach,
race.
You were all good to go. Thank you for supporting us here.
All right, so here we go. Last year's championship race. We get an early caution for the Joy and Stenhouse, and the first 8 stay out on old tires, and then but I think Hamlin and Truex. So yeah, Hamlin, Truex, not the first 8. So the leaders in the championship race, mind you, right, where you're supposed to be like, all right, let's not fuck with this race. Hamlin, Truex pit, and then other guys stay out and restart ahead of them. You had 8 guys on old tires on whatever lap that was. So actually, a good way to do that would be to look at the lap by lap data in the Phoenix sheet and just see, like, look at these cautions and see if names pop up. And that'll tell you right there, like, okay, that's wonky. Let's see. If I look at last year's Phoenix race, trying to see if I can see anything weird. That looks pretty normal. We get a caution last year in the fall, lap 31. I think that was a comp caution. And nothing really changes up front. They all must have taken tires. I don't know what the hell that is. Let's see. Phoenix 1. Oh, there's a weird one. Yeah, I don't know. Too deep in the weeds probably for a live stream to do that.
Well, you can. We're just here. I'm chill. I got nothing to do. We could just keep chatting. Do it live. We've done the picks. Now we can do our little like live show that.
All right. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't have the cautions colored, so let me find the cautions and color them so that I can see it. And then I want to see the early caution, what changes happened in the Phoenix 1 race. Because it looks like Phoenix fall race, nothing changed. But the Phoenix spring race from last year, previous at this track, there may have been some shenanigans on the first caution. So that would be lap 32, competition caution. This year, they're doing it on lap 25. Why lap 25?
It's so early. Especially with practice. What do we basically have 3 stages now.
Here's a really weird thing, though. Like, there was a big scoring cycle last year at Phoenix on lap 16. Why the hell was that all about? That's bizarre. All right, so lap 32. That's not right. It says lap 32, they did a competition caution. But clearly in the lap by lap data, it's like lap 16-ish. I don't know. Go figure. Well,
Did we have debris early?
No.
Actually, what am I doing? Let me just look at the race really quick and see what happened on lap 16.
I think it might just be the data being crap sometimes with the pool. There isn't a caution until the competition caution. They have the competition caution. And yeah, I don't know why it's showing up the way it is. Whatever.
All right, so what am I? Oh, yeah, that's. Oh, my God. I totally forgot. Bubba Wallace wrecks on lap. Okay, so here's the deal. Bubba Wallace gets spun on lap 7.
Okay.
So he wrecks. The crowd goes absolutely wild. I've never heard a NASCAR crowd be that loud and cheer.
Is that in the spring or fall?
This is championship.
Yeah.
It was like Junior took the lead. So we stay under. We have a long yellow.
Do I not have the mark?
I'm slowly going through. They go back green on lap 12. So what happened on 16? I'm on 14 right now, 15. LaJoy crashes on lap 16. It's LaJoy, Stenhouse. I think it was just those two.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming people pit and trade positions on pit road. Let me see if the field pit. Yeah, the field pits on lap 16.
These caution laps I have on here are not correct.
Yeah, I forgot. LaJoy. So LaJoy takes out Bubba Wallace on lap 7. He then gets taken out by Stenhouse on lap 14. And so LaJoy's out of the race. Do they still have the competition caution in lap 30 something?
Yeah, I could read through the notes again, but in my notes, I have that people stayed out. After the LaJoyce and Stenhouse, they wreck. Hamlin, Truex pit, 8 cars stay out. That is what lap? Lap 16, right? So if I go to lap by lap data and I look at lap 16, we should see some sort of shakeup right there. I'm assuming from how long were they yellow?
It was a longish yellow.
16 to 20, it says.
I don't see how many people took tires here. Everybody who pits takes 4 tires on lap 16 last year in the fall.
Okay. But did some people stay out?
Elliott's the first off pit road. I want to see where he starts on this. So you have you have Keselowski, Blaney, Dillon, Chastain, Larson, McDowell, Busher, Pearce.
Oh, I know what I did. I freaking labeled them. If I can flip backwards. No, that's right. That's why I'm having trouble. Oh, God. Too many numbers, man. I know what I did. Sorry. I'm looking at the spring race thing. It's the fall race. I got them flipped up.
You're good.
That's when I know I've been doing this too long this week. It's like there's not a caution on lap 32. So I'm looking at the data for. All right. So there it is. Lap 17. Yes. Okay. All right. We had a caution on what lap?
14.
All right. Let's look at 8-11 and then 16-20. 8 through 11, we have a caution, right?
Yes. Yeah. Bubba spins lap 7.
And then 16-20.
Lap. Oh my gosh! I just looked at it 3 times. Lap 14, LaJoy and Stenhouse crash.
All right. So looking at the data, going into the LaJoy wreck. Let me sort it. All right. So you've got Chase Elliott is in first before that wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And he restarts in 10th.
Yes.
So people did not take tires there. And you have Ryan Blaney, who cycles to the lead. He stayed out on old tires and leads for like 20 more laps. And the farthest that he drops on that green flag run is, I don't have the stages marked in here. Lazy bum. Is it lap 78 at the end of the stage? Yeah.
Let me look.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
78 through
75 is the end of the stage.
Yeah, now I'm looking at the wrong. I'm looking at one again, aren't I? Motherfucker. I can't do this. No, it's not the end of the stage. I'm looking at the fall race.
I'm looking at the fall race as well.
All right. I think 76 is it. Anyway, Blaney is in like 6th or 7th place on old tires. It works out. So if it worked then, why wouldn't it work this year? Well, it's a new tire they don't know anything about. Probably that's probably the answer is, hey, it's a new tire. We probably ought to take tires.
I think a very long-winded answer here. It took us a long time to get here. I don't think anybody stays out under the competition caution. I think they all pit. I think it then decides the race decide on pit road from that point on.
Let me give you the names of the guys that did stay out, just to see if I can spark some interest. The guys that did stay out: Ryan Blaney, who was running up front; Ross Chastain, who was running in 12th, jumped up to 3rd. Brad Keselowski jumped from 8th to 2nd. I mean, these are exactly who you would expect to do this stupid stuff. Kyle Larson stays out, goes from 21st to 6th. McDowell, 20, but he had already pit right before that. He was in 2nd place. He pits on lap 8. Michael McDowell stays out. Austin Dillon stays out. Chris Buescher stays out. How they had, I don't know. Fuck, whatever. We went from a so-so show to now garbage.
I know. we did it.
We destroyed it. Screwed it all up.
we ruined it.
We did. We absolutely ruined this show. Should have known, man. Yep. We got to close it down. Shut it down.
Last call. The bar is closed.
Yeah, well, that's just exactly what it was. Like, got no one to quit. Where the guy sitting at the bar, didn't know when to stop, just kept chasing that dragon.
Ordered another round, and we're not enjoying it anymore. We're not having fun.
We look around and realize no one's having a good time.
The lights are on. I've been talking to a post for the last 2 hours.
Yeah, we did that. Lesson learned. Next time when we hit the hour mark, cut it off. Get the hell out of here.
Hour 10, good little bonus. Sorry. We're gonna.
I'm ashamed.
That's ridiculous.
Let you down.
We'll see you guys.
Absolutely.
We'll see you guys next week. If you do like us, consider supporting us on Patreon and everything. We'll see you guys next week. Check out my content. Check out Pearce's content, and moving forward, we'll put a hard stop. Hour 10, hour 15. We gotta quit it. It's not Saturday night. We'll see you guys later.
Amateurs.